I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit creating this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings divide equanimity, feel bias, attachment, and anger. This ground known to be perfumed, strewn with flowers, mound mirrored, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha bill and over it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Idam Guru Randam Vedara Ameyadaya.
Ya dalam kecil dari di sang ni tadi, ngom jangan itu dari tu ni ngom jangan itu. Sama syukur dan sejelas lok semekwa.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining me in this cyberspace for the Dharma practice. So now I would like to begin today's discussion and by practicing Aryatara, meaning that reciting her mantra, the heart mantra, while we are meditating.
So ye jana rado dare du so ha dare du re so ha dare du re so ha dare du re so Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so ha Om dare du re so Om dare du re so ha 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 Om dare du re so ha
Now, I would like to ask each of you, please meditate on Aryatara while you are reciting heart mantra.
그런 리 나니 다리 섬sem니 다 로마 검소나 능리 있음 참말로 얌는 게 솔라로 다르지.
So if you remain in the mode of verbally, here is mentally uttering or in the Aryatara's heart mantra, and meanwhile visualizing or meditating on the vivid image of Aryatara herself, and then sit in the right position. That means you be able to all your three doors: the body, the mind, and the speech in the mode of a Dhamma practice. So our goal is self-improvement for the benefits of all other beings. So therefore, and make sure you examine your motivation for this practice, and to direct your mind or adjust your mind in this particular practice. that is for the purpose of benefits of all sentient beings, and you are going to engage in the recitation of Arya Tara's heart mantra and meditate on her sacred image, and then you're going to accumulate the merits for the benefits of all sentient beings, particularly in this time of the particular time in the history of mankind. Since we all are facing this COVID-19 pandemic, so prayer and wish, and may all sentient beings free from the sufferings caused by this pandemic. And so again, for all the benefits of all sentient beings, you are engaging in this practice.
어느 소라 같은 거 줬더니 막 이거 주지라.
Continue our discussion and from where we left the last time.
아까 정도서 시송 때 들들 정나 호아 뜻기 나왔들 재밀 득바때 때텔한 네와 지금 돈 옹오스 데 지금 마숑랑라 샨트 역카 설바당 본방고 토드적적 최랑고 티와 최랑고 티울 시정 탐진 로그영 양시비 노비 니콩종스정 메버 시니 스모 원들 랑와터 지시 저런 마디워슬 알리 몽라 랑디 티우강보 마슈와 츠그럼 리 노바 지시기 데르 바브니나 동 탁바 첨부 영화 첨부 캡 첨부 로지 첨부 시샤와 데라 세르스 도르나 랑기 랑 진진기 지종위 뇨모 남기 니무 디슴 성기 탐지기 깔위워드 송정 서비 타멜라 온정 공트샤바 대점리 송을 공지기 돈 라마 담비 망업기 랑기 셈기 총톱드 고비 특기 영영 셀시 절 니워드 똑브시에데 더 요나 쇼로나 저트르 운드 셈길 칠라드스 돈 토트 킹와 온라 더 메나 용든 더 맞템바 탐칠정 당진기 소트 송위 뇨몽와 페비 도슨도르 니도스 오다들 토마츠라스가 다 때문에 여러분 진짜 비슷하고
So we're going to continue read from last time. It is on your copy translation page 51. Here is said, and then after this we're going to finish today and finish this reading, and then we're going to finish the discussions on the topic about self-judgment. If we practice in this way, then just as a person can be laid low by food poisoning, so our self-centered attitude will be defeated. As long as we cannot do this, even if we load a yak with the monastic robes, or have the empowering vest placed on our heads 1,000 times, or listen to the doctrine for our entire lives, or give up everything mundane, or no matter how we try, we will not achieve the object of our desire. We will be restless with pain, like the mongoose in grief over the death of its offspring. Instead, we will have to draw in our thumbs without extending them to others, begging for help. Begging for help. If we can preserve as advice, it is thought that we will become followers of the great vehicle. Our mind will become expansive. We will be able to elevate others, and we will develop great wisdom. Okay, continue. Essentially, if all the Buddha of the 3 times were to teach for eons, I beg your pardon. Yes. Essentially, if all the Buddha of the three times were to teach for eons about the disadvantage of the that arise out of a self-centered attitude, they would never end. However, the above in the Buddha's teaching, the commentaries to them, and the instructions of the supreme spiritual masters is a means for making us aware of the defects of our own attitude. Think about it again and again. Taste it and become convinced of it. If we do this, whatever our external behavior may be, our mind streams will be mixed with the doctrine and our aims will be fulfilled. But if we do not, all those things labeled as qualities we will only serve to gratify our self-centered attitude. Within us will be the friendly relative who provoke and increase our disturbing emotions.
괜찮다. 니 가르세 고르지나 도 담마 나도 디셔나 진짜 코발라 뜨거서나 남서 코바는 거 뜨거 나차든 정말 뜨거 세 답름 짜고 나서 디 나서 가지고 나갔던 준비 당전도 뜨거 당식 말았어. 나갔던 준비 근저 저 자 대당 한식 같이 내와 대좀 거 소소 등을 리베 가좀 뜻고 말했어. 배나 지기다 예산로 진리 지기 같이 하는 거 범바정의 시우지 온거로 세랑 모두 통 저쯤 제 나라 샘땅 그피 능급에 당전도 좀 맡아봐이나 시가 지금 판독이요 말스 탐질렀네 목부 영역도다 대지 내땅 담주 대지 집도 마도 오해는 저 판독 말 배나 안에 미치 콜라 뜨거도 송에는 람사 만바가 띠코 뜨거도 세가 적지 당하던 가지고나 만 갔던 거 뜻당 거마 돌아가실 오늘 살슬리 치는 거라 지기 만지르지네 띠 능근데 판독이요 말 때 나지는 가서 랑그 능그 샘기 묘모때 나갔던 집에 당전 그런가 농지 묘모 특심 때 매와줘라 당전 때 매와줘 맡으나 때 맡을 파트 능을 때름비 당전 때 요 된저 되는 거 다다 차동 이유티 제비다 묘모 몽고 사위 묘모 이유 묘모 있을수 바데 파 캡지니 아니 가서 뒤당나 봐 능을 용거래 스테자다 조 당전 때 매와줘 그래 다뜻고 대체 당전 때 매와줘 가르 거르나 랑기 팁공서 소소랑 그 강파 샷 공시라 안에 삼로 땅에나 소 당보배 랑그 얘기 당전대라 카트자게 냠보존이 삼네 뜻지니 마슈라체나 르베르베 데튼 데 버드 토비 니와지 토용은 자도 안에 딱 가지고 치 그자 전부터 영화 첨보서나 캡 첨보서 로지 첨보서나 또 차가도 그랬들라세 거랬어 안에 당전 준비 년보텔라 뜻이 거르시 때는 노르디나다 랑 진전지 종의 묘모나 예무 디슴 성지지 어떤 랑 저르즈 진전의 묘모도 베셰 이 예무 세고는 디슴 성지가 그워드 셔나르도 조트 바지 들리지 말에 예무 몽베 타에 가서 코라 토마메 바니 단다버디 참데도 디 참아 당전이 예무 참에서 뜻이 되고요 말때서다 온경지 공도샤바 때점지 고르테 라마 담바 남기 아니 송라 테니다 니테지 만도르디니 셰바인 테지 셰트와지 요 마레시나 테지 셰바인 등 니와토 버셰데지 티 돈도 강 셰바데 소수 셈나 하고지니 아니 티 돈 셈라 삼로동 사베돈도 좀 냠는지 트와이나 테돈도나 셈게 데트와이나 케벤드 마토 테 마토 소소랑 거지 장 연든지 요나라 연데 동소도 소마 나르길 페와도 양 다한테 당진 조던도 양카요레 세오도 세고다. The essence of this
paragraph we just read essentially point out the very important following few points. Number one, it is sort of illustrates that the essential or the most significant the importance of the grasping as self a person. So it highlights its a fundamental negative rule. So what is the self-centered attitude or grasping self a person or self-love, self-cherishment, and all this is doing? They're doing one thing, so they're doing something that is very damaging, very harmful. The way that harmful or the damaging that the destructive consequences that can be resembled is that a person who ate a food, but the food is poisoning, okay, or mixed with the poison. Imagine, so whoever had a food, but if the food was mixed with the poison and he or she consumed it or swallowed down and into inside his or her body, so what is going to happen? What are the consequences of it and that very event going to be? So similarly, our self-centered attitude and self-cherishment is just like the food with poisoning or being poisoned. So we as long as we have that self-centered attitude, we hold on to it, and then no matter whatever you're doing, okay? For example, you dedicate yourself, right? You practice renunciation. You give up all the material life, and then you give up. You dedicate yourself and to practice the mantras or request for the empowerment, or you do all the philosophical and textual studies, and you meditate, you pray, and you do the or make offerings, right? Whatever you do, so as long as that grasping self-person, a self-centered attitude, it still sits inside your mind and in your mind, and as long as you do not destroy it or remove it completely, then all thing you're doing is going to be like a food that's been poisoned. It's because you do whatever is you aimed to or driven, right? Driven by this self-centeredness. So and then therefore, it will be imperfect, right? And so the way, and we need to look at this self-centeredness as a poison, and or we've been sort of poisoned in that way. And imagine, so doctor, right? We want to fix this problem, and so the way we're going to do that, and our doctor obviously wanted to help us directly, right, and to remove the poisons inside our stomach, right, inside our body, right. So the action we need to take must be direct. The action has to be the problem has to be fixed right on the spot. So so that's what the right doctor, the great doctor, would do, right? Meaning that so whatever that you take the practice, and you got to be take it as a spiritual practice and to address or use it as antidote, as some kind of powerful, effective means to directly address the problems and which caused by, driven by, sort of hold by this self-centered attitude. So the problem that the self-centered attitude could create it or can be manifested and is that through the attachment, right? By attached to the material things and the fames and so on and so forth, our ideas. So that's the manifestation of the self-centered attitude, or being hateful, angry, mad about this and that, right? Again, that is also the clear indication that it is manifested from the grasping the self of person or self-centered attitude. And if we go further to expand this from Buddhist literature point of view, so we know that all the 6 roots afflictions, right? 6 roots afflictions or defilements, right? And the 20 secondary afflictive emotions, all these are derived or stemmed from that very one cause, that is self-grasping. So our goal, our task is to destroy and to remove and to banish the grasping as a self-centeredness. So that has to be our goal, and we must be focused on this very purpose, and then do whatever we can to achieve this goal. If we forgot this goal, and then it doesn't matter. So whatever you hear, how much you hear in the Buddhist teachings and or the instructions you received and in empowerment you obtained, and whatever you have done, if it is not used to address directly to fix, to remove the self-centered attitude, and then everything will remain the same. So vice versa, by contrast, if you do take everything you hear, right, no matter how minor or how sort of extensive, and the Dharma teaching, if you take it and to use it as antidote to directly address and to fix the grasping the self of person, and then that very practice, that very teaching, and that you heard from the teacher, or you understood through the readings, or you learned, you accumulated or you realized it, and through your meditation practice, everything in that from there that onwards will be the greatest. That would be the great Dharma. Is a spectacular. Will be the most sacred and most supreme, the noble teachings. So in brief, that whatever the Dharma teaching we take, we must use it to help us to identify the excuse me, identifying the defects of our afflictions, afflictive emotions, and then use it to vanish the causes of the root causes of all afflictions. That is again self-centered attitude. So therefore, the lastly we must remember is that so our teacher the lamas and our spiritual instructors and masters who taught us through them, and we have heard the Dharma, right, and the sacred teachings, and we contemplated on these teachings, and then we meditated the teachings from them. So all this thing and practices has to be, again, we must be very careful and to remember, we needed to take it as a means, as a methodology, a special means, and to root out the afflictions and the causes of the other afflictions, that is the self-centered attitude or the misperception of the self. We must be careful, because if we do not direct our all the Dharma teachings that we heard, we thought through, and we meditated on, if not used this way, then we would mistakenly been sort of boost up, and by misidentifying, say, no, I know a whole lot of Buddhist teaching, and I'm a learned person, and I have accomplished and a great deal of scriptural learnings, and I meditated for a long time, whatever, so on and so forth. So you will take your the things you have done or accomplished as something, and instead of to address and to eliminate your self-centered attitude or misperception of self of person, you would then take them into in the wrong direction. So this is something that's very crucial. We must pay close attention and make sure we're not being fooled and by the after we accumulated or accomplished a lot of Dharma practices and the teachings from the teachers.
Kadam bazi ta gyushin samgi muti ba de ngone tan chele tang jong ni de mong bu chong are ti kadam bazi ta ti ge zo ani ju chi ge song ju zo lamrun zini lamji do ma se lamji do ma ti ge jewa de je dang ni chim bu song ji lamrun chim mo se de o ti de chi la nyam den chi ne chi de le tang ni ngone tang ni o de ge ta ti de kadam be gyushin yin de pe ka de chim mo ngo yo lo jong mang bu yo o te la kadam ba se gi yo te yang tang song de na chi ge ta han nande namshi jikte betala kap sone korong zo tende ga ang kadam be mangki ni korch gor te ya nor nyanga mares ne kadam ba se te ngone tane ji chi chen de le tang ne chi shima korong sam no tong ne en jikte betala la kap sam ro ane ji zo ane ji lo ta sa soma te jo chi ga nam tar ja da jizun do mar ri da ane kadam thab je tom ba che mayo wa che jizun do ma che tane chi da tone kontar tende zi bil haj la kap sam do Tanda kadam bayin second zo ta munijini nangba ge jawala chigi yomishta kale hawore ni jinjikten be hala kapsunga nangbe jabe jamdul hapsha tang ge ro ande konkran zina kapsu de korong ne sangma gyozo kapsunga ti kapsung ne ko rewate kap to tku yo ma te chada ne otni manora chezi ne te ni sashi chenzi.
At this moment, it occurs to me that I needed to make one clarification, and that is we have been discussing this greater teaching of training of the mind based on the teachings of the lineages taught by a particular set of Tibetan Buddhist tradition. It's called the Kadamba tradition, and the masters of Kadamba. And so this teaching is a lineage come from the ancient Tibetan Buddhist tradition of Kadamba. So what is Kadamba? And Kadamba is the tradition that formed or being introduced to the Tibetans back to 11th century by eminent Bengali great master Digambara Adisha. And so Adisha came to Tibet, and during the second phase of Tibetan, what do we call the assimilation, the second phase of during the second phases assimilation of Tibetan Buddhism from India. So during that time, and Adisha, we called it Joji, come to Tibet, and then he began to teach Tibetans and how to practice in the classical, the authentic Buddhism. And so Adisha, he wrote or he composed a text, a very famous textbook called "The Path to the Enlightenment," the stages, the path to the stages of enlightenment, Lamdrum, the lamp, and for the paths of the stages of enlightenment. And then, based on this sacred teaching and the textbook, and later on, Rinpoche, the founder of a Gilu tradition, and he then composed the great treatises called the Lamrim, the stages of a path to the enlightenment. And so we must know that when we talk about the Kadamba, we refer to the founder of this tradition, Master Adisha, and his great students and the followers, such as Drondongpa, and then Geshes, and we talked about like Geshe Bangwenjen and Longri Tomba, and so on and so forth. So that's what the Kadamba is. The Kadamba, the character, the most outstanding characteristic of a Kadamba teacher and the teachings are they give up and hopes and attachment to this lifetime. Okay? They are not attached to any material, materialistic gaining and or possessions at all. They are the ones who purely dedicated to Buddha Dharma and with their entire life. So that's what the Kadamba master and the Adisha and taught. So Jyotipata Adisha, by the way, and he if you think about what kind of the deities and he's devoted to, and his primary deity is Tara, Arya Tara. That's the Buddha, which we just we practice, and we say the mantra every morning at the beginning of our practice. And so since we moved to online and the classes online, so anyway, that's we have to be clear about it. So the reason I make it is clarification and is because nowadays there are people who use the name of Kadamba and sometimes but whatever the practice they're doing, if you do comparison and you compare to what they teach and the lineage and where they started, the origination of them, and it's nothing to do with this great tradition of Kadamba taught by Jyotipata Adisha and preserved by his followers and the director, the disciples directly received teaching from him, and all the way through the Lama Tsongkhapa. And so one of the things is that if you take the world deity or world gods as spirits, you worship as spirits and a worldly and gods, and you take it as the fundamental, as the core and object of refuge, and you sort of downplay and capture the Buddha and the classical Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha and the foundation of Buddhism away, but primarily focus on that one spirits and what you call them as a Dharma protector, whatever. And that's I doubted even that is a Buddhist practice. Okay, so therefore, when you reach out, looking around, and if he's overheard, or you see something called Kadamba, you must know that the form of Kadamba which I'm talking about is the Kadamba and the teaching taught by Lama, the master Atisha, and transmitted and preserved by all the way to Lama Tsongkhapa and through his students until today.
Da said the Yoli Yotan Kandazri, the Ngarazu, the Ngarazu Zimbano, that is your Marsigoro. That da Yona Nazu, the Pomboche, Namshichi, but that's all right. The Nebu. That the Zanisona Tigni Pombo Tony Zanara Ped, Pombo Bar, Chitsona Pombo to repeat the Tingoba, Duanga, the Tingoba, yes, on the Titani, I need to go. 아니 다 남식이 땅에 짜이 송나 남시대 같이는 집에 아니 같은 남시대랑 담시도 준비돼 같이는 찾아마도 되나 가지네 또 뭐랑스도 빠지게 똑바다 맞은 요마 이제로도 아니 서로 땅도 정말다 남시도 리섬이가 되네 서로들 경고 서로들 정말 어떻게 그러나 되나요 다 예트고요 말 때자다 아니 남은데 시설도 땅에 리섬 될라 때니 땅바담 지자요다 다 땅바담 지자인데 땅바담 지자가 됐다 아주 욕국 초고요 다 어때 삼노 땅에 땅 가세야 지금 땅바담 좀 맞도 나랑 좋은데 랑진 것들이 지금 다 매야 근데 삼노 땅에 디 초고 안에 다랑 땅 전세나 캬버쇼지 요 말 정말 공부고 다좀 지래지 다 삼노 양 성라 아니 가세 잔이 많이 들강라 아니 지금 다좀 지금 잔이 매바 찾고 말 다좀 지금 예트고요 인자다 아니 다좀데 아니 페나 단당이 공부들라 답변에 리스미우들라 답변에 나세데 미즈니 몬트도 나카즈 미 리튼도 토요 리튼도 단지니 니 남시트 강서 제스게 예송나 니 단다 나세데 미 리튼기 나든 지송래 이나 나테 답변 다좀도 전 몰라 텔리 종아자 테 트트보 테자 테바이나 다 주주 쇼지 삼노다 당마토이나 페나 나세데 트블릭 트탕도 간다즈리 진짜나 페나 지금 페레사테 제타네 아주 지금 장춘동 치바와동 남크튼 동 치는 거 나와서 버도 랭고 데데는 삼동네 나라도 리튼데 파 자네 손에 딱 아주 리트는 아주 라디오를 통디오를 배치 냠스 초초로데 냠스 몬디오 아주 리드 간다즈리 자네 손에 당보 가디 정말에 심하가 로그리 데자나 당보 파마가 그쪽 틀리니 틀리 정말 틀리니 오데 तेला ने रबे या छलंग चंग चंग तेला गा जो मेली जिनि दातन जु चावारो ते सावंडो ते फमा खटन यु रा ओ तेला तेनि कोम्बी टोके ने गिली जिनि गारा जेवर जबि सुज युंगोर ते जना ती फा खारो जना जना जेंकी लीला कुटाली चंगवा जे जल लीला जेवर युंग मथवा युंग यो मार ते कोम्बी टोक रो ओ तेनि जिनि तार बे लिते या छलंग चंग यो तेला तेनि ने जिस सातुंग चतंग सात थमा तेनि मंगा这个的真手去的吧，这个的，俺那个就离的呀，人劲的用，他别那，他的比上那罗登那个那，离个恐怖到两周去，有家伙知道的， 용조가 같은 용조가 되고 요약으로 싸웠죠. 어떻게 요약이 전에 아니 타마데 어디 차종한테는 사치면 오늘 밑에 리드 바양 연로 동바창로 동바테네 아니 딸 같은 뭐 파티 무슨 리드 매아창로 어때지나 드리잖아 가 매아 착성으로는 가 매아 착고 말니 리슴 뉴 카트니스나 남식이 긴당도 니 남식이 긴대양 참조라 강실라리 넘버만 비 박착지 롱인로 싸워지 때문에 텔라테니 양 띠띠 몰라 양 지금 사트 직접 용거 때 딱배 딱점지 리슴 뉴 텔라테니 직접 얼마 nga세 terang spas tanda deni was hage part no so tida yang yo mar tendo ki samno shift tanga na ani ngase te tes ngoni to de ngarong zu zba dang ji rang spas de rang wa chi lisama wonje kendo tendo ngalu ta da de samdo tendo yo mar mya chador te mya ha ko sona tene ngala te bete chung shimba yo mar atela tene ni chadang ni ut sida ji mar ngala tene dangten zmi zba shikchong yo sona teleteni sinchayong ma tingala go dengago sete yung ma dengala maga telang ni pe chi sete yung ma techa ane chi ngala teni chado tang ane chi jala teni tu sama jongsa ge jero de nimendo chasona teleteni yung ma sawan ro de nimendo teleteni yung ma jona o te yang ze yang samno tang ne ane nga se te kandas ge samno tang nga se de za ni meba zer ma ze tang zum jang go techa da ketang ane 아주 모인이 지금 통다운도 직든 니캄나 남극 좀 봐도 좋다다 아니 남극 좀 봐도 간이 정화래잖아 때 지금 종합망보도 초 처음에 니 뭔가 쇼치도 니네들이 좀 봐줘 때니 뺐나 차와 좀 들라 롱 때니 아니 지금 참다만 이쪽 좀 용도 와도네 용한 참아 때니 정화 때는 여러 랑진지 때나 직접이 나올 때니 여러 때 요 말때 코 뭐가 때니 정화 때니 제마 야손한테 코어로스 좀 봐 정말 quarter there's any dead doors in the share of Martin Tim so soon you are on certain jipping over the team room. Teacher, do something and then I was Chitani Matapa the Tele Tombani to be any gain Pechelona Mangoyo. Digital the methods of Tada, method condition was 7 Chitelatin, 7 Chipu in a Chongo, Tichongo Martelatin, Jimmy Nams of the Shango, Telatin, Satan, Chetan, Trotan, telling me other. 망보 초용수 근데 고텔라더니 지금 이거던 로마던 메토라서 미용 거 어떻게 있던 메토데 종사자 나 메토데 때 종리들이 배 네가 때 네가 마르카치까지 집에 오고 타마텔라 어때 더트닝 오 파이어로 어떻게 때나데 또 사망하고 기회래 남시 야긴 도시근도 인동 차인 다와이 다와 가서 다와 레디랑 가서 뭐 종책이요 그 다와야 가까니 깨치라 약간에 아니 다가오 전에 니마 지금 마마 덤냐 참 낙성 쳐도도 어두 사망 아롱도 시고 때장 아두 삼탕 아롱도 미 메시지나 찍든지 당고 좀 기더니 야야 다kan 아니 다르마타요 진더니 강고 진더니 마음에 쳐 양지마 요시마 뜻 어두 삼로 땅에 되나 참상배 지금 괜찮아서 문다 아주 셈나가 소라다 만다 지금 어떤 원이 통에 양산도지 institution intis jambo yongwe te sam dong da chu dong sa ti chu dong ba yo te la sam no dang ye ta ma to nga yo ma ra ne ni ko ma nga thuni khelin ching ma nga do pak chak chim bo yo nga meling me tang da kan da yo na ka da yo ro ti cha da te ni ko ti na sem na thro khan da chi yo
It's 11 o'clock.
So we have been focused on the one topic. In other words, we carried out our conversation and quite for quite a while. And the essence of, or the center of our topic was about the I, or person, or self. And so we are essentially was trying to understand what is self, what is I, what is a person. And we also talked about, and fundamentally from Buddhist point of view, no self, okay, or the emptiness of a self. And so people mistakenly often and interpret the Buddhist teaching of emptiness of self or empty, the selflessness as something that there's no person, there's no I, and there's no self at all. Right? If we interpret that way, if we think that is really the case, then of course, would be very scary, and or it could cause a lot of people, like amazed what you talk about, right? And they will not accept it. So because our experience, our empirical knowledge confirms that I is something, and it does exist. It's not sort of absolutely non-existent, or is a nihilistic, like a nihilism, or nihilistic view. To say there's no I or self or person at all. Buddhism doesn't teach it that way. And so Buddhism is ask you the question, and challenge you to find that form of I that you believe is existed, right? And that I, right, the I that appeared to your sort of the normal mind, or your basic attitude, or understanding about self, and that type of self in Buddhism is considered non-existent. It does not exist, or it cannot be found. So Buddhism say no self, no I, or no person. That no means that the form of I which you believe, right? That is the permanent and self-sufficient and independent, and it's on some kind of self-autonomous status. It's operating and its own power, and it's changeless, that or eternal. So Buddhism do reject that form of I, because indeed that form of I, which appear in your mind and make you believe that that's you and that's your identity, that's who you are, or who you really are. If you really do search and do analytically to try to find out that your inquiry, your quest for to identify, to find out this I, right, marked by being a person who is permanent, right, independent, changeless, and autonomous, and who is operating under its own power and eternal. You cannot find that I, that form of I. So that's what the Buddhist teachings understand about selflessness of person, or emptiness of a person. So we can actually examine this idea, or expanding our conversation of this idea of the Buddhist understanding of selflessness in a different from different approach. For example, that in general we see two things are quite obvious. One is our body, right? His body seems solid, concrete, is objectively is there. But when you go and again and performing some kind of exercise, some kind of a critical analysis and or study and research on this very the true status or identity and the origins of this origins of this body, you will find actually this body is not as something that the true status of this body and not as something that how you generally believe or generally appear in your mind. For example, our body is started with the spring and eggs of our parents. Okay, and so the union of our parents, literally speaking, the union of our father's sperm and mother's egg is the starting point of our physical body, right? And then this physical body is kept and started and then growing, developing, and then and so it took we know the weeks and months and finally it's become something. So our own body, and after we born, but this body, from its very origin, the causes of its original cause and the original states up until you born and all the way to today and then the moment of you die is never ever been the same thing. It's kept transforming or changing or sort of disintegrating. So all the time without a moment of pause or cease, right? So which is clearly show or quite evident and obvious that the body is not ourself. The body is not the way the body existed. The truth of the body is doesn't own anything that's concrete or solid or objectively exist and its own power at all, right? Then people often think that yeah, that's a physical body, and the aspect of me is not truly or something objectively truly existed. But what about the consciousness, right? My consciousness is real, is something kind of operating and its own power or self-existing as self-sufficient and sort of is an independent entity. If you believe hold such a philosophical view, or believe this kind of perspective is true, is the truth, is to speak of a truth, then again, if you as soon as you started to examine the status of your consciousness, you also realize that that's not the case at all. Why? Because the consciousness is something, again, is the compositional, is part of the compositional phenomena. It is a part of the compositional is composed is because the consciousness, as far as the consciousness, the status of consciousness are concerned, you see that's a change from moment to moment, right? The first moment of consciousness is not the second one, the third one. For example, the mind of you for yesterday and it's not today's, right? The mind of the consciousness of yours and of this morning is not the one, the identical, and the one we are talking right now. We are talking in this very moment we're talking about. They are completely, it's not the same or identical, right? So we called ourselves I, and how we essentially there's no really self-established or objectively objectively established entity at all. So, and we are the sort of we as person as self is something that depend upon the feelings and the five aggregate the feelings and the perceptions, right? And there's a physical entity, the body. So the composition of and conglomeration of this entity as a combined entity. So we go with and live with and depend upon our senses of happiness or pleasure, or unhappiness or pain, and or something is neutral. So we are constantly evolved or changing from moment to moment. And so therefore, it is all this evidence indicates that the so-called eternal I and permanent self, independent self, inherently established or existed self does not is unfoundable. Is not there at all. Is not real at all. So that's the one point that we have to remember. And that's when we talk about I or self or person, and as the center of our topic and our conversation. So now let's look at this very concepts of I, or the topic of I or self or person, from a different way, right? Even though we can't find I that is independent, permanent, eternal, changeless, right? Self-sufficient, inherently established or existed entity, but it doesn't mean, and again, I is by no means whatsoever is not exist at all. Buddhism doesn't promote this kind of philosophy. Rather, Buddhism do believe self of person, self or I or person is nominal. Is nominal, meaning it's the production of the term, and the label is a conceptual. Okay, it's a conceptual, the production of a conceptualization. So this production, this I is the production of the conceptualization, or is a nominal, and is established as a term. Okay, so it's a mere name. But when we say mere name or is production of a conceptualization, right, is a term. A nominal, we must remember, it doesn't deny the very functionality of I. Okay? The functionality of I, whatever you call it, and so the rule or the form of a sort of a rule that that nominal, right, I or mere I as term, I as the production of the conceptualization is a functioning. It functions and functioning and well, right? And even you can't find it from absolute point of view, but it does functioning. It does do whatever the things and that you experiencing. So your experience actually it tells that is the one. So Buddhist searching for I, right? Buddhist examination of I, or the entity or the status of I, the true nature of the I, has to be eventually end up, right? And end up, or has to be conclude by the understanding of although I is not the eternal I is not existed, the permanent I is not existed, and inherently existed I is not exist at all, and the independent I is not exist. But the mere I, the nominal I, the I which is the production of a label, a term, and conceptualization, has to be found. Okay, but the way you find is, again, you have to keep that essence of this very crucial point. That is, as far as it's the entity, the status are concerned, and the status are concerned, and it has to be say nominal. It is a mere the production of the label. But again, which doesn't deny the functionality of the I being the agent, or the someone who doing all kinds of things, right? So this this is a very important point, and we got to remember. So now let's go back again to the body, right? We say the body is started with the seeds of right, sort of two right, a very unique the cell, right, and or some kind of a biological sort of entity, right, and that's a sperm and the egg, right. So the body is started from there, right, and then through the food and consumed by and nourished by your mother, and through the food and the drinks which she consumed, right, and then this process of nourishment of you, and then eventually when it reaches the full term, and then and give you the birth, right. So when you look at this, how the body been created or been sort of brought up, right, and become something that's functional and is doing its own thing. You see, even though it's empty or lack of, right, and it's an absence of inherent substantially existed or established entity there at all, but see, it's a growing process, and it's doing something, it's functioning, and then after you receive the birth, and so this body is being born, right, and then again, so even though it's empty of, absence of inherently existed established quality at all, however, it's a functioning, it's doing things, right? So the way this body and the consciousness or mind or I existed in Buddhism, in Buddhist literature, they give many metaphors to resemble the existence of the functionality of the I, a mind, and the body. One of the example is like the rainbows, right? You see the rainbows, right? And prior or after the rain, right? It's there, it's so beautiful. It's doing its own thing, right? It performance is on and sort of a job, right? But rainbow, by its very, it is lack of any substantial qualities at all, right? It's devoid of and it's emptied of something's real, something's substantially established. It's not, right? But rainbow as rainbow is there, as we can see, and it's so beautiful out there in the sky. And another metaphor in Buddhism, and often to teach about the true status of our body, our consciousness, and we as a person, a self, and a person is the reflections of the moon on the surface of the water, or on the water, okay? And so the reflections of the images of the moon, the full moon, and which appeared on the water, surface of the water, we know you cannot deny the image itself, but you know for sure it is not a real moon, right? And so similarly, our the status of our body, right? It doesn't matter whichever the way you approach, you try to find it, and the only way, and you can go all the way back, is you can end up with, oh, my body started with my the sperm which from my father, and the egg from my mother. So, and as the result of the union of these two, and then it started. Right? The body of mine in this lifetime is started, right? And so this is your the way how your body functions, how you receive your body, and how it is something to, so it means a lot, or and a great deal to you, and so relevant to you. And so you say, I need love it, or you show you have great affections, right, and love for it. And so similarly, when you take this attitude of your love to your body, right, and how and your affections to your body, and just switch and your attitude or your affection and from your own body to others, right? As long as the process of the establishment of your body is concerned, just like your body is started with the seeds of your right from the seeds level, which is your father's sperm and mother's egg. Similarly, right, in the other's person's body, they also went through exactly the same, started with same seeds and went through the same similar process, right? And so if you have a great love and very affectionate about your own body, and it's so if you be able to switch, right, and this affection and love from your own to others, it could you could have the same forceful love and affections for others' body, because again, this, as far as how it's been produced and been nourished, right, come out and become something that is exactly the same. So the process is the same. According to some scientists, and it says that the body, the process of this generation of a body is every 7 days. It seems it changes and keeps developing. And so, if that's the case, again, we know that it matches what the Buddhists understand of the body. And so, from scientific point of view, and the Buddhist spiritual point of view, they are their understanding is the same. So now, bring this idea of the conversation and the essence of this conversation to our spiritual practice. We know that our body, right? Well, eventually, we have to lose it, and we have to give it and let it goes away, or sort of have to experience this separation and make it experience the separation that's taking place between me as person and the self or I and our body. That occur, this phenomena or this separation taking place at the last phase of your when your last breath is cut off or been broken, the continuation of the breath is broken up. At that point, so the separation be made or been happened, right, be taking place. And then that moment, right, because the separation is created some kind of vacuum and some kind of empty space, and so. And then you will experience see that all those items, right, cells, protons, and or neutrons, whatever the chemical and the biological and the things, they will return to their own original states. And so you left you as a person and your consciousness and as something as is there, right? And so at that moment, and so you will clearly see that there's no really a great reason or real reason and to attach to your body. Okay, you become instead of desireful, you become desireless. Instead of very much sort of has strong attachment, and you become attachment free. And so at the moment of with that separation, the final separation we call death, right, taking place, you will see that continuum of your consciousness is luminous, is illuminating, is clearly manifested, and but it is again a mere phenomena, and it's nominal, and it is something that's free or devoid from the inherently existed or substantially existed the entity or phenomena. And it's like a movie, Okay, so when we watch the movie, everything is projected, right, and as taking place, and it seems so true, so real. But again, on the screen, right, or on the TV and the screen, you see there's nothing really there. However, it runs smoothly and doing whatever is show up, right? And so similarly, so that I in that state of after dying, and so you will see, and it existed, but the way it existed is like a movie, and meaning that is devoid of the inherent existed entity or substantiality. So we need to very carefully think about this with a great deal of depth, and very carefully examine and this matter of or concepts of the things which concerns us so much, and we call it I or self of person, right? And because after all, we have to have I, right? And but that I is we also have to know that I is the true status of the I, and so once we understand the true status of I and fully understand its ultimate nature, then we will easily and we'll be able to free ourselves from all the negative emotions, afflictive emotions such as jealousy, doubts, fear, attachment, and aversion, and so on and so forth. We'll just have no attachment because we see the reason. There's no reason we need, there's no base, right? No reason and no basis for us to attach to, right? And as I said, from its origin, right, and the originals, its origin and the seeds and everything, and there is no really absolute I, or the so-called the I, which is not absolute, which is not eternal, and that is not it is not the independent. Um, but it does again in that same very crucial moment. You have to remember the I is not like a nihilistic, those nihilistic view would promote or would assert is not exist at all. So that is not the Buddhist understanding. The Buddhist understanding is there is I, there is self, there is a person, but the self and the person is not eternal and is not a changeless, is not independent entity, but rather is a nominal. It's merely established by the perceptualization. So it's like a space, right? You look at it as not space. You look at up in space, and right above you, you see the cloud, right? When you look at the cloud, take a look at the cloud, you see what happened, right? Your experience tells you that cloud looks so real and so sort of astonishing in many cases. But the cloud is coming from seems nowhere, and then when you really follow the transformation and the changes of the status of that heaps of beautiful cloud, it again will eventually and diminish what goes nowhere. It all goes to its own original state, right? It goes back to its own home, if there is such a thing. So look at this, think about this, and then apply this very phenomena into the status of your own self, your consciousness, and you as person, self. And it seems quite amazing, right? It would move you, think, wow, what's going on? What's really? This is all this so amazing, right? And so anyway, the Buddhist, that's why in the Buddhist idea of impermanence, emptiness, right? And all these ideas is based upon it's not that much sort of absolutely abstracted, ambiguous and teaching or the idea. Rather, it's something that's so it's so simple, and so it can be understood through all this natural phenomena, such as, like said, the clouds, right, and the 4 seasons of the changes 4 seasons, right, and all those occurring phenomena around you, all of them, because they're changing from moment to moment, and it doesn't own any substantially established absolute quality, but status within them. That proves that even there's kind of it shows that the emptiness, what is emptiness is, right, or what is impermanent is. And so all this external phenomena, in fact, is the manifestation of that very subtle and very profound the absolute truth or ultimate reality, which we call emptiness. So, like again, example like flowers. So you look at the flower is so beautiful, and but the flower is so beautiful. It started with the seeds, right, and then growing, and then then produce the comes to the right branches and the leaves, and eventually there comes this bud, I guess, and then produce and blossom the beautiful flower. But what is really flower, and where is the flower, right? And the flower, as a flower, doesn't independently come to be something which we call the flower at all, but it is the sort of dependently and being produced. So that's the true nature of that flower. It's also a manifestation of the ultimate reality that taught by Buddhism. So when you look at all this, think about this, it seems very interesting, isn't it? Even amazed you. But I admit this is not easy to look and see it and from our own experience, or have experience it from our direct perception. And so we don't have the direct perception to see all this as what they are or really are, is because of propensity, because of predisposition. Our predisposition, our propensity is so strong and so powerful. So therefore, it's sort of veils and obstructed us to obscured and obstructed us to see as what they really are. And so. So that's all for today, and thank you for your attention, and thanks for coming and practice with me and in this cyberspace. And now let's do the prayers.
If you using a book, we can get our book or the recitation book on the website. The page number 19. The London prayer is on page.
lam je shu zhao zi wei zhang wei tang zhou wei ye ye wen ba sa shi ya wei dang ba ye rong zi zhi dang ba ren shen shou ye ma jiu cha jiang yang er zhi wei shou de niang zhi zhen bo ye ro zhou ba yi kan de de sa wer shi shou se jie ya wei men zhong zhen le la zhu xiang xiu lang jie ren bei jiang tang du nang jie ye la hen de shang ya wen zai ba ran de zhang ji lang zang de bei den jian zhu xi ge jian se xie me dang me gen ce ro gan de ya wei ngao ba nang da zhe wer ma ji gang zi tang ba zhou la qi jiu zhi ci zhen zhen la zong ba de yi ji te de nan jie da de zhou xi jiang zhao xi yang zu shu gun xiao zhi ye ba de zhao wei lang hao ren bo qi da ye nian er bi dang zhi la ga zhen qian bu gu ne jie song de gu song de jie gu de zang de su shang zhe sen zhe ren bo jie ma jie ba ne ji ji jie wa niang ba me per yang gong ne gong de pe wer shou gang re ra wei gu wei xian gang de ban dang de wa ma le zhong wei ni jia re zhen wang den zhen jiang zuo ye xia bei sen de ba de zhen ji yang wo ba wo zhi de ra jian ba dang guan de zang bo de yang de zhen de de da guan zhen zhe zuo da lo zhen ye wang de da tam zhi ra de ngo de zong shan bei ya wo tam zhi jie mo wa gong lang zhong de nga ba de da zhen ye wei za wang de guan zhong zang bo zhu xi ra de ngo wer jie ten de zhong de dan ba de shang ye dan zhen ye wo tam zhi gong gang zong le zhen gong la de zhe zhong wei ni sang ye dan ba da de jie ji ce ru gen de ya wo zong ba le tang zhou xin ye mi sen de bei di Yahweh Mapi Nanzan Denye Le Kaje Zayang Dopur Majir